Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. I want to discuss one of the issues that we're seeing in gaming today that has a tendency to be oversimplified, partly because, your normal gamer doesn't really understand how to discuss this issue, and partly because it's always easier when you simplify your position. It's much easier for you to explain and it's easier to defend. But in this case, I do think it is important for us to look deeper so that we can better defend this position going forward. The fellow you see here on screen, along with obviously the Concord character and the Overwatch character, is Jarrell. He is the creator, owner, runner of Sungrand Studios. He is a professional developer, character designer, etc., and he just recently started doing these videos on character design, specifically in this case the character design of Concord. Now, I really enjoy his first video. I'll put a link in the description to that. This is from his second video, which I've also very much enjoyed, and you'll see why in a minute. But as I said, he covers a topic that I feel gamers have difficulty expressing because, we see something, we know we don't like it, we have an idea of why we don't like it, but in terms of expressing it in a way outside of, it's just not sexy enough, we lack the proper terminology. And while people shouldn't necessarily need to have to go in depth and educate themselves to the point where they have all of this industry professional terms and stuff, if you're going to deal with a situation, sometimes you have to go the extra steps. And that's basically where we are now. Now, this man, it seems to be very sweet. He wants absolutely nothing to do with the general culture war, but you can see the passion about character design as he talks. So first I'm going to let him talk.
But what is so important and what is so hugely problematic with Concord is they are going for hyper-realistic or hyper-reality when it comes to the designs themselves. They're going for hyper-reality, these big, loud, bombastic designs, but they've chosen to go with a photorealistic aesthetic, especially when it comes to the proportions. They've chosen what look like photorealistic proportions. These are the proportions of human beings. This is actually how thick a real person's thighs and calves would be. This is, what their shoulders, how thick their torso would be. But the problem is that is clashing with the hyper-realism of the outfits.
Sounds like something we've probably said, but not in those terms. The problem we have with so many of these characters in the games, yes, the lack of sex appeal is definitely part of it. However, the bigger problem that we have is that we know that the look of that character doesn't match the world that character has been put in. You have these very normal looking characters, these characters that you could see on the side of the street in a world that doesn't exist on the side of the street. It's not reality, but they're trying to make it as close to reality as possible. And while on one hand, people seem to think they want that, on the other, it really destroys gaming. Because you can't put reality into fantasy. I mean, you can try, but in the end, reality is going to win out, and it's not going to be as enjoyable anymore. I'm not sure if that makes any sense.
So they are two different perspectives that do not work together. Those are two different approaches. With Overwatch, they understand that they have employed hyper-realism when it comes to the core visual elements, and so they cannot rely on photorealism when it comes to their body proportions, so they have chosen body proportions that are not realistic and they're more based on fantasy. And that is why these Overwatch designs work so well, and why a character like Symmetra visually flows extremely well.
He says this so much better than I do. He really does. The idea of fantasy, and I actually said something to this effect in a tweet the other day when someone was retweeting about female characters and how people wanted them just to be fuckable. There's not a single woman in this world I want to sleep with, but I still want a character that looks attractive. I still want a character that's nice to look at. Not because I want to sleep with her, but because It's just more enjoyable to look at something that's nice to look at. But attractive, I mean, in short, I want a character that attracts my eye. I want a character that is attractive. But too many people get it in their head. A lot of dishonest actors just use this as an attempt to downplay the argument that attractive means fuckable. Attraction is more than just sex. But of course, what the people were generally arguing with, sex is the only thing they care about. We get stuck in the conversation about sex. And because everybody kind of gets a little bulldoggy, they get dug into their positions and they don't think outside of it in an attempt to explain what's going on. And even if you did, the other side likely wouldn't care. But there are enough normies out there that if you can articulate the situation in a way that doesn't necessarily involve sex, you can actually win more people over to your side. You will actually attract more, will bring over more of the in-between group as opposed to continue to make things more and more radicalized. To further his example, he actually goes on to critique himself. I mean, this man really breaks down the color compositions and all of that. I just want to talk about it a bit so that maybe we can see more of a way to explain what our problem is. Or maybe even just understand it for ourselves, because a lot of this was news to me. And I'll admit, I'm not exactly an artist by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, if I can find a way to help explain my argument to other people, I am always glad for the information. Or if I can even find new ways to better understand my own issues, which personally I found that his videos, his discussion on this has really helped explain to me why I had so many problems with these. But anyway, he's critiquing himself in this video as he was the Concord and Overwatch characters.
Now, this tie actually matches my darker skin tone, so it actually complements the skin tone. It does not clash. It doesn't pull attention away from anywhere else that's important on my character. But it's basically the same color as my skin, but just significantly darker. So in this situation, it's a very good choice. You can see the shape actually is an arrow that points down. The tie actually brings the focus right back up, and it brings it up to my face, which is an important place to bring the viewer.
The way he treats himself literally like a video game character to explain this concept of how you bring an accent color throughout an entire character and how you use that to make that character more interesting.
But it's not, you can fix that. You can fix that with DLC. So I'm going to do a little bit of DLC now and just make a quick adjustment. So let me go ahead. I think it's $3 for this alt. So let's try it. Is that it?
And the way he pokes fun at the whole buying DLC and variants for your characters is great. And you can see here, all he really did was change the tie, and he goes on to talk about, how changing the tie really changes the rest of the look. But of course, then he wants to buy himself his Concord variant.
I am now going to spend $5 on a new alt for myself. This is my Concord character alt skin. So here we go, $5. How do I look? Oh, anyway, this is my Concord alt.
As you can see, he then goes on to demonstrate how Concord decorates their characters versus the best practices for character decoration. And when I say he breaks this down, he goes through so much. I highly, highly recommend, if you want to expand your vocabulary in this regard, if you want to have better arguments while talking to anybody you disagree with, not just necessarily here in the video game wars, but this is information that can help you if you're an artist out there who wants to create characters, who wants to do things. This is really good information. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. I just can't. I genuinely think that his insights and the way he explains them would be extremely good for anybody to listen to, not just, culture, quote unquote, culture warriors looking to have more cogent arguments, but anybody looking to be creative, realistically, because he talks all about how to make your character look more interesting, the best ways to help yourself identify a character. His links will be down in the comments, his channel, the 2 videos I'm referencing, and check him out, please. By all means, even if for no other reason than to learn more about video game character design, which honestly as gamers is a good thing for us to know about, because then it helps us articulate what we want to see better beyond, oh, we want tits. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, tits are great, but we all know that's not the only thing that goes into making a good character. And not every character has tits. Nor should every character have tits, because I would like to see some sexy men. So let's not go putting breasts on everybody just to appease certain groups. What do you think? Do you think I'm crazy? Probably. That makes sense. I do want to, I put a post in the community notes. I do want to let everybody know going forward, there will be no videos on Sunday mornings. I'm going to be using Saturday nights to work on longer videos and help improve, just take some time to work on my skills. But I want to thank you guys so much for being here. One more thing. I was vaguely thinking about setting up a Discord server for anybody here on the channel. If that's something you might be interested in, also let me know that down in the comments. And let me know if you've played Overwatch. I don't. He actually gets really excited about the game while looking at the character designs. I know the gameplay, so I'm not particularly interested in it, but I love watching people get excited about things. It makes me happy to see. But I hope you have some thoughts. Let me know about them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.